Sueharu poured a glass of wine over Shun because he felt that Shun had insulted Kuroha. Shun said that he actually had a bad feeling when he saw Sueharu come in with trash. He also called Sueharu trash. Hearing this, Tetsuhiko got angry and almost hit Shun. Kuroha tried to stop Tetsuhiko from going too far, and Sueharu immediately intervened to hold him back. Tetsuhiko said that there was no way he could stay silent if his friend was being insulted by Shun. Shun then called his subordinates to report to the police, claiming there was a troublemaker in his office. After that, Shun left but asked them to stay there. Sueharu immediately panicked, but Tetsuhiko told him to stay calm because Sueharu had done nothing wrong. He also asked everyone to testify that nothing had happened in the room, and regarding the spilled wine, Tetsuhiko requested that they all confirm it was Shun who spilled it. Sueharu, Shirakusa, and Maria agreed to this plan, but Kuroha did not. Kuroha felt that giving false testimony was going too far, especially since Sueharu's chance to return to the entertainment world would become even harder. Shun might exaggerate the facts, and it would also be more difficult if Sueharu tried to join another agency. Suddenly, Soichiro, Shirakusa's father, arrived with Shun. Soichiro is a representative from Kadzuka Pharmaceutical, the company sponsoring the advertisement. Shirakusa just learned that the client for the commercial was her own father. Soichiro had not seen Sueharu in a long time, so he asked them to explain what had actually happened earlier. After hearing everything, Soichiro understood the situation between them and Shun. Kuroha said that everything was Shun's fault because Sueharu had to do what he did to defend himself. Shirakusa said she believed Sueharu did the right thing as a human being, so no matter what the law said, she would continue to support him. She mentioned that harm was not only physical, but words could also be sharp weapons, and Shun had hurt them with his words, while Sueharu only intended to protect them all. Maria added that all their friends supported Sueharu and wanted to close the matter, but Shun obviously could not accept that. Shun claimed that he was the victim in the whole incident. Hearing this, Tetsuhiko was eager to hit him, but Sueharu immediately stopped him. Maria suggested that they hold an advertising contest. According to Maria, if Shun reported Sueharu to the police, Sueharu would never get into the agency, which wouldn't benefit anyone. So Maria proposed that they compete by making commercials. If Shun won, Sueharu would have to join the agency and follow his orders, but if Sueharu won, Shun would not be allowed to report him to the police, and even if Sueharu joined another agency, Shun would have no right to interfere. Shun agreed to Maria's proposal. Maria then asked Soichiro for permission to create two versions of the commercial, one for the agency and one for Sueharu. Soichiro agreed because he thought it would create a hot topic. Sueharu agreed to participate. Maria said they would release both commercials on one website and let the public vote. Whoever got the most votes would be the winner. Kuroha said Sueharu had almost no chance to win because he was doing it all by himself. Maria said that using the Ultramarine channel was a great idea for hosting the commercials. She then called it the Ultramarine Alliance, and with those members, she was confident they could compete. The competition would start next week and last 3 days. The shorter the time, the harder it would be for the agency to choose a production team, which should balance things out between the two sides. Maria asked Soichiro to provide a production team for Sueharu and his friends so that the contest could be considered fair. Sueharu then asked if Maria would appear in the commercial with him, but Maria chose to appear in the agency's commercial instead because she wanted to show the progress she had made over 6 years. Sueharu really counted on Maria's popularity, especially since his future was at stake. He even got down on his knees to beg Maria. Tetsuhiko and Shirakusa were surprised by why Sueharu had to act that way. On the way home, Sueharu asked Maria if she was sure she didn't want to quit the agency if he won, even though she once said she wanted to be saved. Maria expressed her gratitude and quietly decided to add something later. The next day, the Ultramarine Alliance meeting began. This time, the topic was about a commercial contest, where the product to be advertised was a sports drink soon to hit the market. The target audience was young people, so the client requested the ad to emphasize the vibe of youthfulness. Tetsuhiko then asked Shirakusa to explain what the first step they needed to take was. Shirakusa was very confident they would win if the plan she had spent the whole night working on came to life. Maria's childhood had been very bleak. She hated everyone except her older sister, who always protected her. When her sister graduated from middle school, Maria and her sister ran away from home together. Unfortunately, Maria's sister, who had excellent grades, couldn't continue her education because she had to work hard to support and raise Maria. Maria deeply hated anything that hurt her sister, and she also resented herself for being powerless and just a burden. One day, Maria was recruited by the CEO of the agency, Hardy Nina. At that time, Maria hoped she could ease her sister's burden, so she decided to join the agency. That's where she met Sueharu. When they first met, Sueharu asked why Maria always looked so gloomy. Young Maria said she wasn't destined to live like Sueharu, who seemed blessed, and that no matter what she did, it felt pointless. Young Sueharu told her that she hadn't tried with all her might yet. Maria kept making excuses, so Sueharu bumped his forehead against hers to make her realize she had to give her all because, in his opinion, Maria had talent. She was smarter than him and had great intuition. However, when it came to acting, Sueharu wasn't going to lose to her. Hearing that, Maria stood up with determination and promised to try her best and fight until she could catch up to Sueharu. She asked if he would wait for her until then. According to Maria, Sueharu's sparkle had saved her from the darkness she was in. But one day, Sueharu suddenly left and said he wouldn't act anymore. Maria certainly hadn't expected him to make that decision, and it made her very sad. Even though she was standing on a glamorous stage, it felt lonely when she was alone, and she still felt trapped in darkness. That night, Maria's older sister, Eri, came home from her part-time job, bringing food to eat together. Maria asked Eri to stop working part-time and just enjoy her college life. Eri was already very grateful for the help with her tuition. On the day of the commercial contest, Maria had initially told Eri not to watch, but Eri really wanted to see it. Eri thought the concept of the commercial was common but good. Maria explained that the agency had decided to rely on famous stars with great visuals. That was how the strong fought. Eri wanted to see Sueharu's commercial, but Maria held her back for a moment. After taking a deep breath, she allowed Eri to play Sueharu's ad. The commercial started with Tetsuhiko inviting Sueharu to enjoy his youth during high school, but Sueharu said his life wasn't exciting. Tetsuhiko then invited Sueharu to have fun together. They made a banner for the Aquamarine Alliance Club inviting Shirakusa and Kuroha to join. After persuading them, the Aquamarine Alliance Club finally got a club room. In the scene, Sueharu looked really excited. Tetsuhiko also showed the Ultramarine channel, explaining that the club aimed to show the world the most fun things in life. At the end of the scene, they jumped up shouting to enjoy youth together with Aquamarine. Maria wondered if she was overestimating Sueharu, but Eri said that Sueharu's commercial was fun. Maria said the commercial was good, especially Sueharu's performance, and she was glad Sueharu hadn't given up. According to Maria, the commercial felt a bit biased. Even though it was an Aquamarine commercial, the Ultramarine channel was what really stood out, which she thought strayed from the ad's original purpose. She was confident that the agency's commercial would win. Eri was still curious about the meaning behind Sueharu's smile at the end of the video. That night, Maria called Sueharu to ask where he was, but he kept it a secret. Sueharu was about to hang up since he was busy, but before ending the call, he said Maria was an amazing actress. He had seen the agency's commercial and felt motivated not to lose to the agency. He said he would show all of his strength. Hearing that, Maria was touched by Sueharu's spirit. When Eri asked who Maria had just spoken to, Maria said the contest wasn't over yet and Sueharu had come back. Meanwhile, Sueharu and his friends were shooting additional footage for their commercial. He asked Kuroha and Shirakusa if they were doing okay. Shirakusa said she felt excited and never imagined she'd get to act alongside Sueharu. The scene they were filming showed a frustrated teenager attempting suicide. The video was paired with a song delivering a message to young people. The purpose of this follow-up commercial was to highlight just how valuable everyday life is, building on the message from the previous ad. Eri mentioned how amazing Sueharu's ability to switch characters was. It made her heart race. Maria said she couldn't do something like that, but she still felt like she could catch up to Sueharu's skills. This meant she no longer felt lonely, because Sueharu was already at the destination she wanted to reach. Maria even cried, moved by the moment. The next day, Sueharu and his friends raised a toast to celebrate their win in the commercial contest. They had won by more than double the points of the runner-up. Sueharu was happy because now he could eat as much as he wanted. Kuroha worried he might be overeating, but Tetsuhiko said they should just let him be since his diet was officially over. Sueharu joked that the Ultramarine Alliance was really just about having fun. Suddenly, Shirakusa got a message from her father saying he was waiting for Tetsuhiko at the front gate. Tetsuhiko went to meet Suchuru in a car. He handed over an orientation note for the Ultramarine Alliance's future plans. Suchuru said he had looked into Tetsuhiko's background and asked if he was planning to use the Alliance as a way to get revenge on Hardy Shun, Tetsuhiko's father. Suchuru also suspected that the reason Tetsuhiko was getting close to Sueharu was because Sueharu was the top star at the agency owned by Shun, whom Tetsuhiko hated. After their meeting, Tetsuhiko asked Suchuru to support the Ultramarine Alliance. Suchuru agreed to handle all legal matters. As Tetsuhiko was walking back to class, Mitsuru suddenly greeted him. Tetsuhiko ignored him. Mitsuru explained that he was involved behind the scenes and wanted to know the results. He added that if Shun was planning something, he would ask his own father to protect Tetsuhiko and the others. Mitsuru's father, Abe Hajime, was a big name in the entertainment industry. Tetsuhiko was surprised because he didn't see how Mitsuru would benefit from that. It turned out Mitsuru just wanted to watch Sueharu's moves more closely. Tetsuhiko then asked what Mitsuru wanted to ask him. Mitsuru asked for Tetsuhiko's opinion on the ranking of the top contenders. According to Mitsuru, the clear winners were Sueharu and Shirakusa, since their popularity was soaring. Tetsuhiko said that Shun would definitely lose on his own, and that the likely champion would be Kuroha, with himself coming in second. Mitsuru was surprised and asked why Kuroha would come out on top. It turned out Kuroha had told Tetsuhiko earlier that she didn't want Shueharu to enter the entertainment world. She suggested that when choosing sides, Tetsuhiko should go with whoever would benefit him most, and that was her. Tetsuhiko said he wanted Shueharu to join his plan, so he decided to side with Kuroha. To make sure their goals didn't clash, Kuroha asked what Tetsuhiko's true objective was. She guessed that he had enemies in the entertainment industry and suspected that was why he was friends with Shueharu. Tetsuhiko asked how she could tell. Kuroha said she had just been guessing based on his motives so far. Then Tetsuhiko opened up, saying the agency director, Shun, was trash, and admitted he had a complicated relationship with him. Kuroha planned to pretend she had lost her memory. Even though it was a bit dishonest, she thought it was the best option. She believed that if she lost her memory, Sueharu would definitely come to save her. If she could get closer to him again over time, it might help heal Sueharu's trauma. Tetsuhiko asked Kuroha if she was really sure about going through with what she planned. Kuroha replied that it wasn't about being sure or unsure. She just had to do it. If Sueharu was going to meet with the agency's CEO, then she intended to go along. She believed that Sueharu hated it even more when someone close to him was insulted. So if the CEO really was the kind of person Tetsuhiko described, terrible person, then he would surely insult Kuroha. If that happened, Sueharu would never return to being active in the entertainment world. After sharing this, Tetsuhiko told Mitsuru that somehow Sueharu had returned to normal, even though he had been very afraid of Kuroha ever since she rejected his feelings. Meanwhile, Shirakusa, who had been in a strong position before, was now back to even ground. So from any perspective, it was clear that Kuroha was the real winner, and Mitsuru agreed with that. Tetsuhiko said that there was no need to explain why he came in second place, especially considering the emergence of the Ultramarine Alliance. Mitsuru called it an amazing development. Then Tetsuhiko mentioned that there was one other person who gained a lot from all this, Maria. It turned out Maria had decided to transfer to the same school as Sueharu, which shocked both Kuroha and Shirakusa. They both asked Sueharu what was going on. Maria said it was Sueharu who wanted her there, but Sueharu said that Maria was the one who asked to be saved from the CEO. Maria explained that she and Shun just weren't a good fit, so she used the opportunity to leave the agency and focus on school. She also said that the reason she quit the agency was to rely on Sueharu and transfer to that school. Since she had rarely attended school because of her busy schedule, she was looking forward to starting her life at school. This naturally made Kuroha and Shirakusa very angry at Sueharu. To avoid them, Sueharu left. While Kuroha and Shirakusa were searching for Sueharu on the school grounds, Rena gave in wrong directions. It turned out that Sueharu had asked Rena to do that. Rena asked Sueharu how he could be friends with Tetsuhiko when they often fought. Sueharu said that most people knew he used to be a child actor, so they would usually ask him to do something, but Tetsuhiko was the only one who actually invited him to do things together. Rena said that Tetsuhiko and Sueharu were quite similar, but Sueharu didn't like being compared to him. After school, without realizing it, Kuroha told Sueharu that she had made him corn soup with watermelon broth, which was one of his favorite dishes. Hearing that, Sueharu realized that Kuroha's taste in food had returned. Kuroha said that had always been her taste, and she even pointed out how many careless mistakes Sueharu made during the quiz recently, as well as his worrying grades. She also mentioned that during summer tutoring, Sueharu had been mostly sleeping because she had been watching him. Sueharu was surprised to hear that, especially since Kuroha had been suffering from memory loss, yet she still remembered something about summer tutoring. Kuroha smiled because Sueharu had finally caught on to her little lie all this time. Sueharu found out that Kuroha had lied about losing her memory, and he felt upset with her. Kuroha explained that she did not have any bad intentions behind her lie. She asked if Sueharu had been shocked. He admitted that he had cried after hearing about her supposed memory loss. Then he asked what her real reason was for lying to him, but Kuroha just gave an embarrassed smile. Sueharu could not understand why he was being toyed with by her again, and it seemed like he could no longer trust Kuroha. He asked if she was laughing at him because she had successfully tricked him, but Kuroha denied it. Sueharu repeated his question about her reason for lying. Instead of answering, Kuroha asked him to be a little more perceptive. However, Sueharu said he could not understand if she did not explain it to him. Kuroha mocked him for only understanding things when they were spelled out verbally and even called him stupid. Sueharu called Kuroha wicked, and she responded that it sounded like he just said a taboo word. Then they started arguing. Sueharu demanded that Kuroha apologize, saying he would listen to her reasons but might not forgive her. Kuroha said that if Sueharu wanted to apologize to her, she would listen. He was surprised that even though he was the one who got tricked, he was the one who had to apologize. Kuroha claimed it was because he was not perceptive and said a taboo word again. They kept arguing until Kuroha hit Sueharu with her bag. Sueharu was still puzzled because he had done nothing wrong, yet she treated him like that. That night, Sueharu thought that maybe he had been too harsh toward Kuroha. He worried that he had made her angry and that she might take revenge. He decided that he should apologize to Kuroha soon. His good side told him that Kuroha had lied so they could make up, in other words, because she liked him. But his bad side questioned that if she really liked him, why would she reject him? He felt his negative thoughts made sense and wondered what Kuroha was really thinking. He believed that if they could talk calmly, he would definitely forgive her. Meanwhile, Kuroha was also thinking about Sueharu, whom she considered stupid. She wondered why he could not understand her and even feared that he might choose Maria or Shirakusa over her. Talking to Sueharu at that time only led to fighting, so she asked if someone else could mediate for them. At the same time, Mitsuru informed Shirakusa that recently, Shirakusa's position had fallen behind because, somehow, Kuroha and Sueharu's relationship had returned to how it was before the Love Shot Festival. So even though Shirakusa's dream had come true, her chances in love were declining. Shirakusa immediately called Tetsuhiko to ask if he was still working with Kuroha. Tetsuhiko said their partnership ended after the advertising contest was over. Shirakusa thought Tetsuhiko was neutral at that point, but Tetsuhiko said he was actually on the interesting side. Shirakusa then proposed an idea to Tetsuhiko. The next day, Tetsuhiko and his friends held a celebration for Maria joining the Ultramarine Alliance. Tetsuhiko explained the system and organization of Ultramarine. First, there were official members and reserve members. Official members had the right to propose projects, choose, and veto. They were also required to participate in the selected projects. If they were unable to participate, they did not have to vote. However, if someone exercised their veto right, the project would be cancelled. Those who did not have these three rights were reserve members like Rana. Tetsuhiko said new members were decided through voting by the official members. Sueharu asked why there had to be such selective rules. Tetsuhiko explained that 80% of people who wanted to join were male. Sueharu said it was good that Tetsuhiko had prepared for that. Maria added that 20% of applicants were female. Sueharu guessed that maybe the women were interested in Tetsuhiko, but Maria said that was not a problem. Tetsuhiko emphasized that they had to be careful when choosing members. After discussing this, Tetsuhiko mentioned a project proposal involving a swimsuit event. He had connections in Okinawa, so they could swim there because the weather was still warm. The budget would come from the profits of the advertising contest. The goal was to promote the Ultramarine Alliance, and even if they could not sing or dance, it was important to attract attention. The song and choreography were already prepared. Sueharu agreed and said that Tetsuhiko was indeed a genius. Unfortunately, Kuroha didn't agree with wearing swimsuits. Sueharu immediately begged Kuroha, saying that swimsuits were every guy's dream. Hearing that, Kuroha called Sueharu perverted. Maria said it wasn't that she disagreed, but she felt uncomfortable being asked to wear a swimsuit. Shirakusa then pointed out that this meant Maria didn't mind singing and dancing. Maria replied that if she had to do it, she was confident in her abilities. She then asked Shirakusa what she thought, only to find out that Shirakusa also disagreed. According to Maria, it seemed like the project was at risk of being cancelled even without anyone using a veto, so it would be better to save the veto for later. Unfortunately, Shirakusa said she didn't trust any of them. Although she was complaining at the moment, she might eventually agree, and if that happened, the worst case would be a project getting approved. Because of that, she wanted to revise the project to remove the swimsuit part, and if not, she would use her veto right. She also blamed Tetsuhiko for proposing a project that could get vetoed, especially since she didn't want to use her veto lightly. Tetsuhiko then revised the swimsuit part. Finally, Tetsuhiko asked to hold a poll, and it turned out more people approved the project. Kuroha was curious who actually voted yes. Shirakusa wanted to ask if Kuroha had stayed quiet to secretly approve it, since Kuroha and Sueharu were fighting earlier, so it wouldn't be surprising if Kuroha was looking for a chance to make up. Maria said that argument made sense, but Kuroha insisted she was not the one who approved it. Tetsuhiko asked everyone not to start blaming each other. The project was approved, and they planned to go to Okinawa next Saturday for 3 days and 2 nights. According to Tetsuhiko, that weekend was the best choice. But Kuroha said she couldn't go because her parents were going on a business trip, and if she wasn't home, only her younger sisters would be there. Tetsuhiko suggested that Kuroha could bring her younger sisters and treat them as backup members since he honestly needed extra help, and they would be responsible for the expenses. Sueharu agreed, saying it was better than bringing strangers. Kuroha said unfortunately Midori had a tow activity on Saturday and Aoi had a club activity. Tetsuhiko then proposed that Kuroha and her sisters could follow on Sunday, so they would shoot on Monday. Kuroha asked if the schedule could be pushed back again, but Tetsuhiko said there were no more 3-day breaks in October, and they couldn't rely on good weather in November. Kuroha suggested maybe the location could be closer to where they lived, so they wouldn't have to go to Okinawa, but Tetsuhiko said he wanted to capture summer memories. The alliance was just formed, so they didn't have any summer memories yet. Besides, it was the summer of their second year of high school, meaning their last summer without exams.